awarding bribes in Bangalore to logging potholes in Boston, and from citizen journalists flagging corruption in Nigeria to voters tracking the flow of money to their MPs in London, innovative organizations in the Omidyar network are changing the relationship between citizens and government. Omidyar Network is proud to sponsor a series of 3 short talks here at PDF, as Andrew mentioned. You'll hear from a remarkable set of leaders who spearhead initiatives that help make government more accessible and more accountable to its citizens. Be it through internet, mobile, or broadcast technologies, their work, like the work of all of the organizations funded by Omidyar Network's Government Transparency Initiative, provides the tools, conditions, and information necessary for citizens to participate in the governing process and shape the outcomes of issues important to them. You're going to hear from 3 presenters today and tomorrow. Each will describe their unique approaches and contributions, but all share a common vision of accountable and responsive government. Each understands the power of technology as a tool to knock down barriers and reach more people in more places than ever before. And now on to the first presenter of the Omidyar Network Speaker Series. Upon finishing his master's degree, Omoyele Sowore's future was uncertain. Sowore always saw himself designing safe, green towns and cities surrounding the Niger Delta where he grew up. However, his activism as a student had landed him in jail on more than one occasion, and on completion of his coursework, the university seized his certificate of degree on orders of the Nigerian military. His prospects bleak, Sowore drew inspiration from Nelson Mandela's autobiography, Long Walk of Freedom. He focused his energies on fighting corruption and soon realized the power of technology to amplify his voice and the voices of others who envisioned a Nigerian government free from corruption and accountable to its citizens. Sowore turned that inspiration into Sahara Reporters, a citizen media website that encourages citizen journalists to publish evidence of ongoing corruption, abuses of human rights, and government malfeasance in Nigeria. Today, he serves as chief editor of Sahara Reporters, which has made a name for itself as a fiercely independent source of news in Nigeria, and he's an incredibly entertaining speaker as well. Please join me in welcoming Omoyele Sowore.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, and good morning. It is a pleasure to meet people who I describe as those who live in the Silicon Valley of technology, who have made it possible for those of us who live on the mountaintop of dissent to begin to solve the problems of the world. I come from Nigeria, and when you hear about Nigeria, you are likely thinking about the next email you get from somebody who's going to offer you a huge amount of money. I do not write those kind of emails. I write reports about the government of Nigeria that has turned those young people who would have been using their technology or their brains to advance Nigeria and the world to other very unproductive and useless use. The real criminals in Nigeria are those in government. Nigeria has produced over $400 billion in petroleum resources that serves your SUVs. And most of it are stolen and kept in your banks, Western banks. And what I did in 2005 was to begin to look at a model where Nigerian citizens can report on offshore corruption. Because since our monies that are stolen in Nigeria are kept in offshore accounts, we started going after them. And the first thing we did was to actually look in one of the neighborhoods in the U.S., which is a place called Potomac, near D.C., where most Nigerian politicians buy very expensive houses. Some of them I've never seen before, and I've lived in this country for 12 years. And you know Nigerians, we're a little bit lousy. So when these politicians come around, they invite their friends, their neighbors, they put in their mistresses there, they buy expensive cars, but they only come and live there maybe 6 times in a year. What we did was to use the public information available in the U.S. to begin to track these properties. And we started making them available online, and we take pictures of them and put them online and tell the Nigerian people that this is what the criminals do with your money in Washington, D.C. And Yes. By the way, the president of Nigeria is going to be in town in New York for a week. It's going to make your economy very robust. Yeah, it's traveling with 200 people all the time, 3 jets. But Nigerians, 70 million of them live under $1 a day. It is not a laughing matter. For us, it is a serious matter. And when I started Sahara Reporters in 2006, it was because I wanted the citizens to fight back. I wanted them to have an opportunity to go beyond the borders of slavery and imprisonment, which is Nigerian society itself. And what I am grateful today for is that technology offered me that opportunity to stay in my basement in New Jersey and started fighting the Nigerian government. Before then, I had always not been happy about not being on the front lines. I wanted to fight them on the streets of Nigeria. But several times I've gone to jail. Several times they tried to kill me. But here is an opportunity to fight on the streets of Nigeria without leaving my basement. And one day, I had to travel to Nigeria. But you know what? I had to travel underground. So I'm traveling through Benin Republic, and guess who I met at the border? I was avoiding the security people from arresting me. The son of the president was avoiding publicity. And we met at the border. And he saw me and said, who are you? And I told him who I was. And after telling him who I was, I told my friends who helped me cross the border, take his license number in case he turns around and kills me. You can tell the world what happened to me. But he was so excited and angry at the same time to see me because I was the guy who made his father look bad in the world and said, can you come in my car? I'll drive you to Lagos. I was hesitant, but I said, what does it cost me? Free gas, which is my gas. The car, which is an SUV, belongs to Nigeria. This guy never walked in his life. So I hopped in the car. And it was as if I put my hand into his throat. He told me everything his father had done, including his father's libido problems. And I published all of them. And it changed the politics of Nigeria in 2007. But where we are today is 2011. And Sahara Reporters grosses about 8 million page views every month. And what we report about are the kind of things you've just seen. Yesterday, the Speaker of the House, the number 4 citizen of Nigeria, was arrested by the anti-corruption police. Because why? We had exposed that he had an account hidden in a bank in Lagos that had $1 billion laundered through that account. They had no option than to arrest him. Last week, when he was about to be arrested, the Inspector General of Police showed up in his house and broke the siege by the anti-corruption police. But the next day, we made sure that the footage of his BMW driving to break the siege was on this website. And what did he have to do? He said, well, I only went for a social visit. He withdrew his police protection, and the man is in detention. That's the Speaker of the House of the Nigerian Parliament. We made that possible. Well, one of the reasons why I'm happy to talk to you today is because it is no longer a crime to talk about the revolution, right? And I'm telling you that the internet has helped to bring about revolution. But like every other person had told you too, internet is not revolution. And there's no way internet will replace the foot that we put on the ground to confront oppressors in every part of the world. Be it in your own neighborhood, or in Egypt, or Tunisia, or in Libya, or Nigeria, or in Guatemala, or in Burma. But one thing is clear, that just as the oppressors used to have access to the airwaves, to the airlines, and whatever they wanted, the mansions, it is becoming clear that we are also having control and taking control of our destiny and our future. And that is our ability to determine that an idiot cannot continue to rule us for 40 years. And it also might include your ability to hold your government accountable. Because when we talk about the revolution, I see Americans always cringe. You think, you can never have a revolution because you had your own. Maybe you are overdue for a revolution here too. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Work for it. Make sure it happens. Because this country can do better than it is doing. I've lived here for 12 years. So you don't need to tell me anything new about America. I went to Columbia University. It might sound like, wow, how did he make it happen? But it was one of the reasons why I decided to be doing what I'm doing today, because I met a lot of people who I thought should be educated who were not really too well upstairs. And I was really disappointed about that. But what the internet is doing to us and for us today is that even the idiots have a voice now. And they can confront the most gigantic of powers in the world. And you know that WikiLeaks made that happen, even though I'm not supposed to say that. You know? That's the power of information. But again, I am saying that we can change this world. And it's not about slogans. It's about determination. I thank you again for listening to me. And before you clap, before I leave, I'm traveling to South Africa today, and I heard the flight is 20 hours. Is there anybody here who can help me use the signal of the pilot to be powering my internet so that I will not be cut off from the world while I'm flying? That's your next assignment. Thank you.